Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I like your little turtleneck, Jess. That looks comfy.
Oh, thank you. It is a nice winter sweater.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff. I'm glad you could join us.
Glad to be here.
We'll give everybody a few more minutes to get on. We might have a little smaller group because of the holiday, huh? But we probably should get going. We're at 2 after now. So welcome, everybody. Got a good meeting for today. We're going to have a coordinator update from Jess, and we have guests from Family Tree to talk about their programs. So I'm really excited to hear about that. So we'll kick it off with Jessica. I'll turn it over to you. What's been going on?
Good morning. All right. So I will walk through our action plan status update. Under our single adult system, we are still working on strengthening our outreach to landlords, creating our Welcome Home community engagement program. And under our family system part of the action plan, we're working on designating a lead service provider and piloting a peer support specialist program to outreach to families experiencing homelessness. For our single adult system, our landlord outreach, we're resuming our housing stability cohort monthly meetings. We have All Health Path, Arapahoe County, Family Tree, South Metro Housing, IHC, and our MKB liaisons. We've had our October and our November meeting. And this is just an opportunity and a platform for any housing opportunities to share those, to share any updates and programming, and then to talk a little about our Welcome Home baskets. We did expand it to innovative housing concepts and our McKinney-Bento liaisons. For our Welcome Home Community Engagement Program, which is part of our landlord initiative, we have finished purchasing 10 Welcome Home baskets, and we've distributed 3, and we have 4 individuals who have been referred. And then we are working on coordinating with the referring agencies, drop off and pick up dates for those gift baskets and gift cards. For our lead family service provider, the bid was closed on the 18th. We followed up with responses on the 3rd of October, and we have identified a consultant. So that contract is in progress and slated for a 12/1 execution date. For our peer support specialist program, I've met with Colorado Mental Wellness Network, and they offer peer support specialist services. I did meet with other agencies to help guide our scope of services and work plan. And the work plan was presented and approved by to our steering committee on the 19th of November. So next, I will develop the scope of services for approval and hopefully have that RFP issued within the next few months. For items that are marked as completed under our 2025-2026 action plan, continue to engage with our local healthcare providers to discuss the street medicine outreach team, and sponsor a feasibility analysis for our PSH housing feasibility assessment. For our family system, continuing to engage with our local school districts as a resource partner and collaborate with school districts to ensure that school families that are at risk of homelessness are aware of new eviction prevention programs. For our single adult system, continuing to engage with local healthcare providers, beginning to plan the second healthcare convening with local hospitals, and the projection for that completion would be in early 2026. For our feasibility analysis for permanent supportive housing, we are under contract with Cooperation for Supportive Housing. The execution date for that contract was the 15th of October. I'm coordinating with CSH their environmental scan and making sure that they're getting all supporting documents and coordinating efforts with the 3 cities. And then I will have biweekly meetings with CSH, and the next one will be the 1st of December. For developing a family system, our engaging with our local school districts. I've resumed our monthly meetings. So we've had one in September, October, and November, continuing to engage with the Community Partners Power Hour to make sure that I'm up to date on resources. and also our NFP Community Advisory Board. Again, just another platform to make sure that I am aware of all the resources in the area. Our last meeting was in September, and our next one will be on the 4th of December. Continuing to collaborate with our school districts. I have introduced our McKinney-Vento liaisons to the Arapahoe County Rental Assistance Program and also to Sarah, and walked them through the application process. And also continuing to convey new seasonal resources for them and rental eviction resources. I do provide a monthly updated resource sheet for housing, eviction prevention resources. And our last meeting was in November. We will have a December meeting, and then hopefully in January, once our family service provider contract has been executed, our meeting structure will be the first half will be resource sharing, and then the second half will be dedicated to case conferencing, which will be facilitated by our lead family service provider. That lands us at 25% completed and 18% that is still in progress. And for some additional items, I have been working with the county to represent and MDHI to represent and support Tri-Cities for our PIT count. The PIT date for 2026 is the 27th of January, and our next our regional PIT meeting was the 19th of November, and the regional was the 20th. And then I'm continuing our quality data report review edits and our participating provider inventory with MDHI, and that will help get Tri-Cities closer to reaching functional zero. And I've also worked on strengthening our case conferencing and including and expanding more agencies that participate in our monthly case conferencing for single veterans who are experiencing homelessness. I did attend our Built for Zero conference, and that was the 5th of November through the 7th. And then for our lived experience board, I'm continuing to outreach to community partners. I met with 2 board members, and there are 3 vacancies, and I also have a meeting with another potential board member. And that's all I've got.
Great, thanks, Jess. Does anybody have any questions about how we're doing on the action plan or any of those items?
I was wondering, do we have funding reserved for the permanent supportive housing project, or just funding for the feasibility assessment?
The funding dedicated in the action plan to the PSH is just for the feasibility assessment.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Thanks for all your hard work. All right, so we're going to move on to hearing from Family Tree. I think we have a couple guests. It says I have Erin Cassidy and Miriam Kisarauskas. You all want to take it?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Hi, good
Welcome.
morning. Thank you. Jessica, thanks for inviting us to present to you all today. So Miriam has a PowerPoint she's going to share for us. And what we'll focus more so on today is House of Hope, which is our emergency family shelter in Inglewood, and give you all some background around House of Hope and the services we provide there. And then I'll go in towards the end around all the services that Family Tree provides. So if you're unfamiliar with Family Tree, Family Tree has been in the Denver metro area operating, working with families and people who are interconnected in the areas of domestic violence, homelessness, and child abuse. And so really what we know about those issues is that they really inform each other and how someone experiences homelessness or domestic violence. What we know about homelessness is that domestic violence is a leading cause of homelessness for women and children. And we also work with our community partners and prevention teams around child abuse. Because what we also know is around poverty, our families and households are more likely to engage in those systems. So we're going to start off talking a little bit about House of Hope. And Miriam, are you able to share your screen? Perfect.
Let me take my mute off. Okay.
So again, my name's Erin Cassidy. I'm the Vice President of Residential Services at Family Tree. I oversee all of our shelter programs currently. We have 2 family shelters, House of Hope and Goals. Those are both emergency shelters. House of Hope has been around for just over 20 years. Goals is a newer shelter in Aurora, and that has been around for about 6 years, I want to say now. We also have a domestic violence shelter in an undisclosed location in the Arvada Wheat Ridge area, and that is our oldest shelter. It's about 40 years old. So I'm going to hand it over to Miriam. She's going to introduce herself and then tell you a little bit about House of Hope. I'm going to go into some stats around House of Hope and our clients that we serve, and then we'll go into our other programs that we provide.
Thanks, Erin. Yeah, my name is Miriam Kisarauskas. I'm the program director of House of Hope in Goals. So let me talk to you a little bit about House of Hope. House of Hope is a 90-day emergency shelter for families. We historically did serve households who identified as women and children in care, but we have expanded to families, which has been an amazing thing to make sure that families don't have to break their families up. We had before that, fathers sleeping in their vehicle, and we did have a lot of families having to make really hard decisions in order to make sure their kids had somewhere safe. So we're really happy that we're able to expand. We are located in a residential neighborhood, so as you can see, kind of look like a house on the outside. I will say that a lot of people, when they come to House of Hope specifically, they come in and say it feels very homey. It feels like a home. We do have kids who often don't really realize that they're in a shelter, so that's like something that's really I love about House of Hope. So when households come to House of Hope, often they don't have anything. They won't have clothes, maybe items for school for kids. So we make sure that their basic needs are met. We provide food, hygiene products, linen, pretty much anything that anyone would have to spend money on. We can get those items for them. And then eligibility, House of Hope, our only eligibility really is that they have at least one child under the age of 18 in their care. So whatever family looks like for each household, whatever they define that is, as long as they have at least one kid under the age of 18. We have 14 rooms. So everyone comes in, they're able to be in their own individual room. The door locks, they have a key for it. And then it is congregate living, so they do have to navigate communal spaces like dining area, kitchen, a pantry, bathrooms, and I can kind of go into some of those other spaces. I have some pictures for you. House of Hope, we do utilize an overnight security. So when households come in, they will see that we have 2 security guards. They're Alex and Veronica. They're very nice. And we get a lot of good responses from clients. They feel very safe having them because they stay up all night and monitor the facility and make sure everyone is safe and have their needs met. The staff, it is a 24/7 shelter, so we are staffed 24/7. So there's always someone there to support households. And then during that daytime, that is when they would get case management. And households will receive pretty much weekly case management. That's kind of our schedule at House of Hope. They try to, although 90 days, is a good amount of time. It's still not enough. So we really do try to get people meeting weekly. So referrals, we do advise everyone to just call. We are first come, first serve. We don't utilize a wait list. But if you know of a household, please reach out to me or a staff member. And really any household who's experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness. And then how we kind of make that decision is basically based on availability and eligibility of the program. So any openings, we'll start looking at who's calling and any referrals we get. So please do reach out if you have someone in mind. And then as you can see, House of Hope looks like a house on the outside. We have wonderful volunteers who from the community who keep up our garden and make it look really nice for households coming in. And then here are some of the shared spaces. So that first picture is the dining area where households will eat and have dinner for their family. Then we have a play area and then a TV space that families can watch TV. We usually have like our kids group. Sometimes we'll do like a movie night, the residential night. So popcorn and kids get to pick out a movie that they want to watch. And then some other spaces that we have are our other community room, which it's kind of a multi-use room where we have groups are also done down there. We have crafts, art. You can see on that picture there's a puzzle, and there is always a puzzle being worked on in that room. And then this is also a space where a lot of the teens and kids do homework. We do have a kids group / youth group that will be starting on December 5th with Inglewood School District. The McKinney-Vento program is going to have someone come and support households and do a group for the kids and just kind of get some more engagement. So that is going to be starting up. And then we do have Stride. They come once a month, the last Wednesday of the month. And so we have a clinic, and so household can get some of those medical needs met. Usually people come in and haven't been able to do that. I say often House of Hope, people will come and get their wisdom teeth taken out. That's usually what happens because they have some time to get that done. And so they can finally do that. So these are some of the rooms and spaces. Like I said before, we really have a great volunteer group. People come and support House of Hope and the clients. So we try to make sure that the rooms are most up to date because after 90 days, they get some wear and tear. So we get groups in, they come and paint. So this is a good example of one of the 2-bed rooms. And then we also have a single bedroom that's designated for a pregnant person or a person with a really small infant. So just keep that in mind. If you know of someone who is pregnant, they are eligible for House of Hope.
Great, thanks, Miriam. So a little bit about our trends and outcomes. So we are in this data is from our 4th month of our fiscal year. We start July 1st. And so we don't have November data, of course, but year to date, we've provided 4,384 nights of shelter from July 1st. We're projected to do 12,000 this year. Our fiscal year last year, we served 8,498. There's a big difference there between 12,000 and 8,000, and that's because House of Hope was closed for 3 months for renovations. We were able to renovate the building, get new flooring. We've updated all of the bathrooms, the client bathrooms. We painted and just made the space a little bit more durable for all of the kids and families in there. Our clients served year to date is 82. Again, we're projected to serve 382 clients for this fiscal year. Same reason why our clients served last year was a little bit on the lower side. One thing that we're really proud of is our housing outcomes. 68% of our clients currently within the 4 months of our fiscal year are exiting to safe and stable housing. And then we have 21% of our clients exiting to permanent housing, which is above the national average of clients who exit out of emergency shelters. Part of that is because we have some funding around rapid rehousing. We have specifically for folks who have experienced domestic violence. We have created some really great partnerships in the community with landlords. And what we also see in the clients at House of Hope and at Goals is that many of our families and households are engaged in employment. And so this typically what we see in our clientele is these are not people that are necessarily chronically homeless. These people may have been a few paychecks away from homelessness, and then they've gotten into House of Hope. The majority of our households and adults work and or are engaged in education in some regard. So we have 90% of our youth enrolled in school. And then also 72% of our adults are engaged in either education themselves through like trade schools or university or community colleges, and then also 72% of them are engaged in employment or employment efforts, working with their case manager. In the last 4 months, we've received almost 1,000 calls for helpline and resource requests, which is quite significant. We are turning away people every day to shelter. Our biggest resource request is probably, I would say, rental assistance. And so that is a big need in the community or really the Tri-City area in Arapahoe County is what we're seeing. The majority of our calls come from Arapahoe County and Denver County. And so it is interesting to see that the people in the community are accessing the resources in their community, but that the resources are just not quite enough for them. And then our average length of stay is 50 days. This is another interesting data point because our most amount of stays that we can offer to someone is 90 days. And what we're seeing is that this is a huge dip from our previous fiscal years, partially because we've adjusted some of our philosophy around case management. And so really encouraging households to meet weekly, like Miriam mentioned, really engaging in that employment and education component, building those relationships with our community landlords. And what we're seeing is that often when families are met with real trauma-informed care case management, they're able to self-resolve much quicker than 90 days. All right, and a little bit about the folks who stay at House of Hope. So our average household size is around 3 to 4 people. Typically, we have many single parents with about 3 kiddos. The majority of our clients are children. We have 62% of our clients year to date are youth and 38% are adults. As you saw from the pictures, the house is, the room sizes are quite small. It used to be a convent. And so there are small room sizes. We have 2 larger rooms that could shelter more than 4 people, but it is difficult to accommodate larger family sizes. If you do know of a family who's experiencing or at risk of homelessness and they have quite a large family, I would recommend calling Goals. We have several large rooms there. And that might be a better option, and fewer time, less amount of time that they'd have to wait to get into shelter. Average household income for our families is $0 to $10,000 a year. That is a significant amount of the households that we serve. I was looking at the data a few days ago, and only one household that we've served this year is making over $50,000 a year. So really, our households are earning, the majority of them are earning $0 to $20,000 a year. So really living below poverty income. 40% of our clients identify as male, 60% of our clients identify female. Again, Miriam touched on this a little bit ago, but historically, House of Hope just served women and children. And really to better align our program and our services with what the other programs that Family Tree have, we wanted to really integrate the component of serving a whole family. Miriam mentioned this story of where, there's this one day where a family was moving in and the dad was helping the mom and children move in. And Miriam goes, well, he can stay here too. It was right when we started this transition to serve whole families. And they were really surprised and shocked, and he was able to stay with the household. And that's really important. Like Miriam said, there were, dads or partners, male partners, sleeping outside, sleeping in vehicles. And really, families were really making difficult decisions around who was going to be sheltered, where the family was going to go. Can dad sleep outside tonight, or for 90 days? So we're really proud to have made that transition. It's much better for children and households, and permanency of children too, if they are engaged in any kind of child welfare cases. You can see our demographic data at the bottom around race and ethnicity. The majority of our clients identify as Black and African American. And then, of course, we have fewer percentages around Caucasian or white families, Hispanic and Latino, mixed race, multiracial, Asian, Native American households. Our families self-identify. There's, I think, 3% there, 4% missing, and that's just if people choose not to identify their race and ethnicity. All right, a little bit more about Family Tree Services. So here's our website at the top of the slide. If you go to this website, you'll see there's the three pillars that Family Tree really focuses on. There's a domestic violence tab, there's a homelessness tab, and then there's a child abuse tab. So what you'll find on the website is links to all of our emergency shelters, and then as well as our homelessness program, which works just, we have some permanent supportive housing programs. We have scattered sites. Family Tree just opened Marshall Street Landing, which is a permanent supportive housing program in Arvada, right off of Marshall Street. That is brand new. We only have about, I think we have less than 20 households right now moved into there, but you can learn about it more on the website. We also have a connections program where our housing navigators work with folks who are homeless or experiencing homelessness, and provide case management, which I think Jessica mentioned earlier. We have our domestic violence services. In our domestic violence services programs, we offer legal advocacy. Our domestic violence advocates will attend court or legal proceedings with someone who's experiencing domestic violence. They'll help them prepare protection orders. We can connect them with attorneys that might be working through different legal issues like around marriage, divorce proceedings, child custody situations. They also provide training and support to the community. So they go into schools, they go into workplaces, they go into different nonprofit organizations and talk about what domestic violence is, the impacts of domestic violence, how it impacts homelessness, safety around children, and also how to just identify domestic violence. They also will participate in safety planning with clients. Often people call crisis line, which goes to Roots of Courage, or they'll call it domestic violence services, and sometimes they just want to talk. They don't really understand maybe that they are in a domestic violence situation, or maybe they know someone who's in a domestic violence situation. And then our advocates will help walk them through those kind of identifiers or what we see around power and control, and help with this education component around DV. We also have a child abuse tab on our website. Our primary programs out of there are Safe Care, which is a evidence-based model that works to promote safety of young children. And so that team will go into households, will come into shelters and help families make safer and better choices around parenting. So they might be able to bring diapers, or they might be able to bring child safety locks, or they might be able to bring baby gates or car seats, and really helping parents prepare for children and understand best ways and safety ways to care for their kids. And then, of course, we have our CFRT team, Community Family Resource Team, which provides mental health services to our households. We have some interns and folks that come from that team that go into our shelters and help provide groups, resource groups, mental health groups, therapy groups for our folks in shelter, our families in shelter, and then also in our domestic violence shelter. So Family Tree is busy. We are really all over the Denver metro area, whether it be, a scattered site PSH program, shelter, Safe Care is really throughout as well. Yeah, we're all over. So if there's ever any question you might have, please feel free to contact myself or Miriam. We could connect you with those other programs more efficiently than we could probably answer some of those questions. But where if you have any questions around homelessness or immediate shelter services needs, please contact Miriam and I. So I just thought I would open it up for any questions you all might have. Here's our contact information. I can also write it in the chat and be happy to answer anything.
Sarah, go ahead, Julie.
Thanks. It's nice to see you again, Erin, and Miriam. Thank you for your presentation. I was curious about with not having a wait list, do people just practically keep calling back? Is that the best thing to do to find out about an opening?
Yeah, typically. And so far, it has worked out. House of Hope did utilize a wait list, but we found that often it would extend past even the length of time of the shelter. So it just didn't seem equitable. And because of we do have households that do seem to be kind of moving on, it kind of does work out that we usually have one or two rooms. So there might be a period of time, a week or two, where people are calling, and but also again, for community referrals, if people are contacting me, or I'm happy to kind of talk about availability and help out, kind of meet that middle ground for the clients.
That's great. And then for a parent who only has their kids part-time because they're, divorced or separated, do they qualify?
Yeah, we just require households or parents or guardians have their children at least half of the time, and then they're eligible for the program.
That's great. Sorry, one more question. The Marshall Street permanent supportive housing, did you say they still have openings right now?
I believe they do. Yeah, I believe they do. Paulo,
And they don't.
I might call on Paulo here because he might know a little bit more about Marshall Street Landing. But
okay.
Sure. Hey, all. Good to see everybody. I'm Paulo Diaz, CEO for Family Tree. Great job, Erin. Great job, Miriam. Just here to support and hang out with you all. Marshall Street, our capacity, as mentioned, is 85 units of permanent supportive housing. Last I heard, at the end of last week, we had 37 of those units filled. However, we do have a list of individuals who are getting placed there. The only reason is I don't know if you guys heard, there was a government shutdown. And so with that, there were some delays in getting a lot of the benefits, paperwork, documents, all that fun stuff that was needed to basically get all the households leased up. So it looks like we will be at capacity because of the wait list that we do have over there. But currently, as of last week, we were at 37 units leased up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
Since we have Paolo, I guess maybe I'll ask, or maybe Erin or Miriam, you can answer too. But I mean, it seems like Family Tree is all over the place now in the metro area, and I'm just curious if you've had any growing pains with having to bring on so many locations.
You know, what's interesting is working in all the different municipalities and counties. I think our Cassie Ratliff, if you are familiar with her, she's our chief operating officer. She always talks about how we just wish there could be a little bit more collaboration intentionally in the Denver metro area, because it does seem like there's all these meetings that are so important and valuable to community resource sharing and what municipalities are doing, what counties are doing, Tri-Cities, and all doing really similar work, but siloed. And so I think maybe those are my biggest growing pains around it, because we are all over the place in the Denver metro area. We do get to be in contact with a lot of different organizations and groups doing this work and really doing it well, but also a lot of different approaches around the philosophy to it, which is interesting to navigate too.
Okay. That's good feedback. We'll have to leave that for our steering committee to think about how we cannot be as siloed. Okay. Anybody else have questions? No? Thank you so much for being here. That was really informative. There were quite a few things there I didn't know about what you all do, and especially about House of Hope. So great presentation.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have some time for a roundtable. If there's anybody who wants to bring up a topic, or if you want to share anything that's going on with the organizations you're involved with, we'd be glad to hear from you. Or if you just want to be done with the meeting sooner, that's fine too.
I just share a quick update about shelter this week.
Yeah.
Sorry, guess I'm just real chatty, but if I haven't met you, I'm the program director at Hat Forest Shelter, and we voucher in 6 partner hotels. We haven't sheltered yet this season because it's been so warm, but we're looking at this weekend. And so stay tuned for potential vouchering on Friday. And I guess the most important thing I wanted to share is that since we voucher only Monday through Friday, we might end up vouchering on Friday for one of the weekend days. So just if you can communicate that to, whatever your spaces are. It could be confusing if it's our first voucher event and Friday doesn't qualify, but Saturday does, but we'll still get people set up for hotels. So I just wanted to share that, and I'll drop my email in the chat in case anybody has questions.
Thanks, Julie. Okay. Anybody else? All right, I'm just going to say my last thing. This is my last meeting as the chairperson of the Tri-Cities Homelessness Policy Group. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's been involved long-term, who's on here, and new friends. That's been one of the great things about being the chairperson of this committee, is getting to meet so many people who are working hard in our communities, trying to help people. And I'm very proud of being able to bring our local governments more in touch with our nonprofit community. So look for a new
Mayor,
person.
you should be very proud. Thank you so much for your leadership. I really appreciate you've been so welcoming to me as I've begun this role as director of MDHI, and just really grateful for your leadership. Thanks so much for all your effort.
Thanks. Yeah, so you'll have a new person from the city of Sheridan starting at our next meeting, which will be in January. We're going to take December off. So I'm looking forward to what all of you can accomplish next year and going forward. So take care. Anything else before we break up our meeting today? No? Okay,
Mayor, on
thanks
behalf of-
everybody. Have a good holiday.
Thank you. Take care.
City of Littleton, I want to thank you too.